Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of Asking Experts podcast. We are grateful to have each and every one of you who tune in and week out to listen, learn, and grow. In today's episode, we have an amazing guest. We have Christofal Schneider. He is joining from the Netherlands and from Madrid. And, I want to share with you today's conversation is truly going to be a very insightful because we're going to be talking about, the innovation of science, the frontier of human behavior. And so, Christopher, he is a human behavior expert. He is he brings together a global perspective whereby he is a visiting professor in Madrid and also Georgetown University in Qatar. And Christopher truly has just a multidisciplinary um, just amazing as to what he is doing right now in the frontier of human science, human behavior. And so, in this conversation, we are going to be exploring the innovative insights and the practical wisdom Christoffel has gathered both when it comes to science, culture, and education. So I'm excited. I know you are excited too. So get ready to have a deep dive into the frontier of science and real world impact. Christoffel, we want to give you a warm welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alka, for this beautiful introduction. So I will do my extreme best to let all your listeners to get the best out of me.
And I'm sure you will. So, the first question is, how do you integrate the multiple disciplines into a cohesive understanding of human behavior in your teachings?
I would say it's easy because I like simple. Because if you make a huge neuroscience kind of explanation, most people just fall off the bandwagon and think, I don't know what it is more about the neurotransmitters, hormones, nerve systems. So if you bring everything together, we as humans have a few simple actually drivers in life. If you really bottle it down to what is our deep why,
Mhm.
and we have say, and then you come right away to the integration. We have three brains, scientifically proven, already 40 years in Western science and in Asian science already for thousands of years. And it is, we have a brain in our gut, 500 million brain cells. And if you think about what is our deepest need from there, it you could say is survival and what it means to survive, to eat, to drink, to reproduce, and to get our food and actually run away or fight predators.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's it. Evolution also great because we are human beings. If we are born, we are totally helpless when we are born. Yeah, giraffe can walk in 30 minutes. It takes, at least according to my older sister, it took me 5 years to walk. Uh, that's why you have older sisters to teach you. Yeah? So before we can escape somebody, it takes years and years and years. So if our parents or caregivers don't take care of us, we die. So evolution, or if you're religious, God gave us a beautiful insight and gave us a heart. That heart can actually really has one objective, and that is to bond. And it makes sense when we have the language, but I'm heartbroken.
Mm.
Now, why would you say you're heartbroken when it would not make sense? And that is a sentence we all know. Oh, I'm heartbroken. Oh, my heart starts beating faster if I see that person. Why would
Yeah.
your heart beat faster if you see a person? So there's a brain, 100,000 brain cells. And its main objective is to bond and to connect. And
Mhm.
it has also the values of good and wrong somewhere. Because values and good and wrong are connected with how we deal with all our environments. And of course, if you have so many signs already inside you, then evolution or the persons upstairs thought, how can we manage all of this? And it gave us a beautiful head in the way of an advanced neocortex, the gray matter on top of our brainstem, emotional brain, what actually almost every animal has, and a really extended neocortex, what only some mammals have. And what's now the purpose of that one that has 20% of our daily energy?
Mhm.
That's actually to make predictions. Because what's the main difference between us and many, 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 many other living creatures? We know what's next week and what is last week.
Right.
Memories have a memory. Elephants have a memory. Dogs have a memory. Dolphins have a memory. But they don't know what is next week. We know what is next week. We are really unique in planning forward. And it takes a lot of energy. That's why all the memories we have make sense. Because a memory only makes sense if you can predict what to do with that memory in the
Uh-huh.
now when it is occurring again. And we can make a better prediction for there. Now, those are our three basic needs we have in life. And that's from survival, bonding, and make the right prediction. If you think, how do you bottle it down? And I know also your shows about people who like to achieve, like to make their life amazing.
Yeah.
Just imagine, I will just make it in a question. Alka, we now established we have three brains. How smart is it then to only use one or two of your brains to make decisions?
Right.
Is that smart?
Not really. No, not
No,
smart.
not really. No, and I ask you because otherwise I'm only talking. Now, and that's what's happening with many, many, many of us.
Mhm.
From our genetics and mostly from our education, socialization, we learn to lean more on one or two of our brains.
Yes.
If you make it simple, in genders, men rely more on a gut brain because we have to be tough and fight and have a blue shirt on. Because if I had a pinky shirt, then probably would think, why do he have a pinky shirt? He's a guy. And so we already trained to almost be more gut brain.
Yeah.
Women are more trained to be sweet, understanding, and understand that obnoxious behavior of men.
Well, I
That's
mean,
much more.
some, not all.
Yeah, I know I make a huge generalization, but if you look at socialization, most times that's how it happens.
Yes.
So females are more already prone to get a more dominant heart brain.
Mhm.
And of course, when we go to school, our head brain is stuffed with all kind of knowledge, language, math, and other kind of things we learn, strategic language, IT, etc. And if you look at universities, most of us are trained in universities, especially if you go to MBAs. Gut brain, you have to be the best.
Mhm.
Head brain, you have to know the most. And the socialization brain is not so taught so much. So later in life, and in my research, what I did up now to say more than 3,000 thought leaders, you see that they all have somewhere a preference to one or two brains are more dominant. And the third one, a lot of times the heart brain in leaders, and a lot of times say if you look in the coaching world, the gut brain in coaches or in supporting jobs, there's the heart brain the most and the gut brain the lowest. They have a dominance. So what you see happening then, if you like to have success, is that a lot of leaders tend to lean on their gut feeling or on their logic, on their strategic thoughts, and forget to bring the heart in from, hey, what is happening actually with my whole team? How can I make an engagement team?
Right.
Well, say supporting jobs or coaches, and supporting jobs are a lot of jobs, say, who serve others. It can be nurses, can be doctors, can be firefighters, can be middle management. You see, they lean much more on the heart and the head and forget the gut so much.
Right. Mhm.
If you then think about success, what we like to achieve, where your podcast is also about, learning to listen to all three of them will make a huge advantage. You go from one or two brains to three brains.
Mhm.
That is almost the difference between walking on one leg and walking with two legs.
Right.
So this is a huge explanation, but ticks right away all the boxes. How can you integrate it? And what does it mean actually for a lot of your listeners if you like to have achievements? And achievements can be professional, individual, personal, health-wise, like to achieve.
Mhm. And that's beautiful. Thank you. And it just makes more sense because when we talk about, your gut feeling or your gut intuition, always trust your gut. So I guess that's where it kind of stems from. When we
Yeah,
talk about,
yeah, there's stems from, and right away I like to make a decision. Really, I love that you said something amazing. A lot of people trust their gut feeling. Now, there are two things to say about that. One, the gut brain is the most egocentric brain you have.
Mhm.
It's
Yes,
me, myself, and I. It's really me, myself, and I. Yeah? There is no social word in the gut brain
right.
because the gut brain is about survival. The lion does not think, oh, I will run a little bit slower behind the deer because the deer is also sad. No, it just thinks, hey, I run faster and I have lunch.
Mhm.
The deer will not think, I will walk a little bit slower so the lion can get me because the lion is old. It just thinks, the lion is old, I run a little bit faster, I live. So following your gut instinct is great if the topic is, what is good for me?
Right.
Otherwise, the gut feeling is not the best because if you would think, what is good for my team? And you follow your gut feeling, um, that is me, myself, and I, and a team, I don't give a beep. And so then you actually have to say I would follow my heart, what would I do? And then you get a totally different kind of answer.
Hmm.
And of course, if you have multiple options on the table and you like to think, what should we do next year? Then you have to make it logical. And then actually after that, you have to start integrating all three kind of answers. So what is good for me is A, what is good for the team is B, what is strategically wise is C. Okay, how can I make from that equation one
Hmm.
aligned decision? And then we have massive success. So sorry for interrupting you, but I
No,
just
that's
like to get
okay.
out of the system. Some people say, I follow my gut feeling, so I'm successful. Yes, you are successful.
Yeah.
What does it mean for the others?
Mm. That is so true. No, I was just bringing that. I mean, this is your show, Christopher, so that's okay. You can expand more if you would like. But I think that's so good because, I hear people say, follow your gut intuition, follow what feels good for you. So when we talk about, you are a visiting professor in Madrid and Georgetown University in Qatar. What are the metrics that you follow that measure the impact of behavioral intervention in your international programs?
This is a really good question because every program likes to have behavioral change.
Yeah,
And then you come right away with two topics. One about, say, the head, heart, and gut, and also about behavior. The first thing is just imagine uh, you have three brains, and it doesn't matter which brain you follow. Your brain is like a compass. So it likes to go, say, to the north if you compass. What happens with many, many, many people of us, we have childhood or adulthood experiences that are or based on really strong beliefs. I'm not good enough. I cannot cry. I always have to
yes.
win.
Mhm.
Or maybe traumatic experiences. You have been bullied, physical abuse, emotional abuse. What then happens is that your head, heart, actually more your gut and your heart, are actually a compass with a huge magnet next to it, and that magnet is or your really strong belief or the traumatic experience. What happens with your magnet, with your compass? It will get off charge. It will follow actually the strong magnet, that strong belief or that traumatic event. So that's one. So if you then come back to behavioral change, with the same my programs, um, when we talk about the change in behavior, it only makes sense for people to change if the heart and the gut and the head are aligned with that. So
Right. True.
logically,
True.
if you think about it, make sense. Everybody knows that I think every leader knows, and everybody who works with people knows that if you like to get a team engaged and you like to get the best out of yourself and the team, you have to engage them in, say, the decision making. You don't have to make them the boss, but use their brains, use their qualities, let them work together, and one becomes three. If I say it in my MBAs, or if it's now in Qatar, or actually in say the whole peninsula there, because I train also in Saudi Arabia and in Israel, or in Madrid, or in my other international clients, everybody says, Chris, that makes sense. We know that. I said, okay. And then the step, how can you then make it happen? Because
Right.
still all the research shows that most employees, at least 80% of employees, find their leaders not engaging. They don't find them example behavior. They don't feel really respected. And people still leave their manager and not the job. So I said, if that is true, that we all know it, why don't we have it? Now, then we come to behavioral change. Logically, you can say yes. But your heart and your gut, based on the beliefs, based on their memories, based on the traumas,
Yeah.
they stop you. And how can you make that extremely simple? Just imagine, Alka. You make a shopping list, what you're going to buy for today for food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
A logical list,
Mm-hmm.
what you logically decide, A, B, C, D, whatever. Then you're going to do shopping at, say, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe 6 o'clock. You can choose. But you have to skip your breakfast. You have to skip your lunch. So you go really hungry to the supermarket. What will happen? Do you follow your list or would you buy something else?
I would buy something else.
You will buy something else. And Alka, this is what 99.95% of the population does. And
Mm,
why is that? Logically, you made the decision,
yeah.
but your stomach is hungry and your gut brain, who says survival, says, hey, by the way, I don't have enough energy. There's no food in me. Hey, upstairs, it's nice that you wrote down a salad. I see chocolate. I see cheesecake. I see wine. I see also, by the way, beautiful other kind of cheese. Um, we choose that. That is quick energy, a lot of energy. So skip your salad for tomorrow. And you come home with all kind of different things.
Mm-hmm.
This is the power of your gut brain.
Right.
It will not listen if it does not agree.
Mm,
Your heart brain is the same. And maybe not for you, Olka, but I think everybody can, a lot of people can relate to that, that you find, say, you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you find a nice boyfriend or girlfriend, you come home with it, and your parents have something like, oh, where do you come home with now? And somebody give you silent advice, maybe that person is not the best for you.
mm, mm-hmm.
But your heart says, I love that person. I like that person. Do we
Yes.
listen to our parents who probably know the best? Uh, 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 uh. Your heart just overrides that system. And again, your heart and your gut are much stronger than our logic. So if you now come back to your behavioral change, what you said, it only works, and I see it in every country I've worked in. I also lived in Australia for 9 years. So I worked in the Asian world and Australia world.
Okay.
So I worked almost in every continent in the world. Every time it's the same. The heart and the gut override the logic. So if you like to go to behavioral change, what is logical to do, we somewhere have to integrate in the questions if you're going to do it, if your heart is okay with it, if your gut is okay with it. Does it fit your belief systems a lot of times? The
Mm,
belief systems that are based on all your experiences of bonding, what you heard, how you bonded with your family, what you should and shouldn't do, based on the highly impactful events you had, say, the trauma experiences you had.
mm-hmm.
Does it fit in? Are they willing to support that? If not, it doesn't happen. Then people say, oh, yes, what great training. Oh, amazing. I learned so much, Chris. Thank you so much. You're the best. I see them 1 month later. Said, hey, people, how did it go? Did you implement it? Yeah, we tried it. Oh, yes, we wanted to do it. Something came up. I thought about it. Doesn't fit me really. And you
They made
hear 3.
excuses. Yeah.
Yeah, and then actually what they say, my heart or my gut was not in it. Because if I then ask to those people, and hey, let's be honest, everybody. It doesn't matter because I always say, I know that probably 80% did not do it. And that
Mm-hmm.
is actually totally normal. If now everybody does it, it means you're totally strange and you are on drugs. So everybody starts laughing and say, who of you had something like, it doesn't fit with my heart feelings? Who said it doesn't fit with my gut instinct? And almost all the hands go up. I say, yeah, my heart was actually stopping me or my gut was stopping me.
Right.
So in that moment, and that's most times in the second time I see them, I really start diving in how the heart and gut works. Why I don't do that on the first day, I like that they experience that they say yes to the change and don't do anything. Because in
Mm,
that moment, we have to prove you said yes, you wrote it down on your action sheet, you made a beautiful action sheet. I have, by the way, a copy of your action sheet, so I know what you would do. You didn't do it. No blame. Okay, so the strategy you used did not work.
mm,
Let's go for another strategy. Who likes to have a strategy that works? All the hands go up. Please, Chris, help us. And then we introduce much more the heart and the gut and how to change. And then we make an action plan. And as a simple example, I put then the people on one side of the room and say, this is the 0. The other side of the room is the 10. Now we're
mm.
going to walk with a question. You walk, how much is my heart? Actually, if I would just follow my heart, how much is my heart in the action I wrote down? And they just have to walk and follow their feelings. And you see people stop between 3 and 6. And then from there we start working, okay, what does your heart need to go to a 7, 8, or 9?
Right. Yeah.
In a coaching or that kind of way. And then people get insights to say, oh, but that has to fit with this value of me, or it has to fit with this, or actually this is blocking me because I once learned from my parents, from my school teacher, this. And somewhere it still hurts if I don't do this. And then we can dismantle those old beliefs they learned 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago that were useful in that time, but not now anymore.
Yeah.
And when we did that class, and we go back to the same action points, and we don't do new action points, they have same action points, and we then see them on the third time, then 80% did it.
Mm.
And then I've also like, I remember there was a beautiful old leader, this old, let's call him experienced. Otherwise, if he hears this, probably he slaps me for my ears because he has big shoulders. He was really in the last year of his work life. And he followed my training, and he was sitting there, and he became extremely angry on the third day. And it's like, what is happening? I said, please help me. What's happening? I see you're angry and upset. He said, Chris, why I'm so upset, and I'm going to tell it to everybody. Let me go in front of the room. Give me your microphone. I said, okay, I will sit down. He said, guys, what we just learned, and women, what we just learned, this is the most important thing for your whole career. I know I see people now being here 25, 30, 35, 40, all younger than me. I'm 67. I said, but I would have loved to be in your shoes being 30 and have learned this lesson. That would have made my life so much easier and so much more successful. I learned now my last year actually what is stopping me or what stopped me in those years. So people, I'm just going to tell you, if you ever have to learn something, this is it. If you like to change behavior,
Mm.
ask your heart, ask your gut if they like to support you. If
Right.
the answer is no, it's a no. And
Mm.
work on the moment, what does my heart need? What does my gut need to say yes? And
Right.
it made a massive impact because he was really the senior guy and say the mentor of everybody and a good guy. And actually he was 6'7" and now something like huge. So also his appearance made him like, okay, we'll listen to you. He was a gentle guy and he really had something like, it made such an impact on everybody in the class, also on me. That's why I'm telling you, van this is it. And now, so long answer, what do we need to do for behavioral change? Get your heart and your gut to support it. If not, it will not happen.
Right. And oftentimes, people talk about change, they want to
Yeah.
change, like you mentioned, but then people don't take the necessary actions that's required to change, to become a better version, to become who you are meant to be, who you are today. It's not who you are going to be, like say, tomorrow. But
Yeah.
that change has got to be consistent. That change has got to be there. But if you're not willing to do anything about it and don't take the necessary actions to change, as you said, nothing will ever happen. And I hear that so often with friends. I want to change, but I don't want to do anything. So,
That's the heart and gut. Just imagine, eh?
yes.
Let's take the gut as example because that's the easiest. The gut likes to survive.
Mhm.
So if you now say are a deer or a gazelle and you live somewhere in the savannas of Africa, does it make sense for that deer or the gazelle to go out of the territories he or she knows? Go
No,
to the unknown? No, because the unknown could be have hyenas, lions, jaguars,
never know.
whatever kind of animals.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it follows the path it knows, and it probably stays with the group it knows.
Hmm.
That is gut-brain behavior. So all our friends who say this one says, their head says, I like to change. And maybe even the heart says, like to change because for every kind of reasons. But then the gut says, I'm not going to get out of the safety zone I have. I'm now 30, 40, 50 years old. I'm here because I always listened and always did this. So now I'm going to say I'm 48, that I have to change what I did for 48 years. Are
Hmm.
you really out of your mind? I'm not going to listen to you upstairs. I don't know what you drunk. I don't know what you eat. I don't know what you smoke, but I'm not going to listen to you. We do it my way because that is safe. So
Yeah.
what they are aware of, they have an internal discussion. Their head or their heart maybe says yes, or maybe even their gut says yes. I like to change, I like to be healthier. But then the heart says, yeah, but we always have wine. When I'm with Alka and we're sitting there on Saturday evening, we always have a bottle of two of wines. We have some cheese. We have some good laughs. We go to bed late. But it's so social and so happy with Alka's on her parties on a Saturday evening. And if I'm not going to do that anymore, then maybe she finds me boring. Her friends find me boring. So no. To stay bonded, I drink wine, I eat cheese, I go to bed late, and maybe even have a cigarette, because that's how we do it as a group. And then the heart brings you back from, no, I'm not going to change. And that's what we experience as peer group pressure. Peer
Right.
group
Yes.
pressure is actually a lot of times a heart brain need for connection. And sometimes a gut brain survival idea, if you like to be by the groups that are say cool. When we are in high school, we like to be with the cool groups. That's also a gut brain survival from, okay, look how good I am. So those brains then say no. So what you describe, Olga, is actually in every person, and every person is you and me too. One of the brains says, let's do something, and the other one says, no. We did it always this. It's not smart, it's not safe, or it will keep me rejected. One out of the three. And if one of those three answers is there, it will not happen. It's not smart. Your head stops it. You get rejected. Your heart stops it. It's not safe. Your gut stops it. So simple is it.
Right.
So for your friends and for your clients and for the people who listen, if you like to do something and something is stopping you, it means one of your silent brains, and I call them silent brains because their internal voice is not loud enough that you know what's happening, is stopping you. Because if you don't listen, it will just block you with sensations, feelings, or critical voices in your head.
Right. Absolutely. That is so true. I mean, I love, the human behavior aspect. What inspired you, Christopher, to pursue such a multidisciplinary path, and how has this shaped your view on human nature?
There are two answers for what brought me what is here. One, I always had a drive for what people do.
Mhm.
And so just to learn, because 30 years ago became a leadership and sales trainer with one of the best companies in Europe, or actually the best company in Europe in that moment. And I was just passionate about, say, helping people and making them best and understand it. What drove me also is, say, I've been bullied at high school. I got a burnout 10 years after I worked with that company. I got, say, a depression after my second divorce when I just emigrated to Australia and my ex ran away as a firefighter. And I thought in that journeys, what makes people tick? Why do people what they do? When I was bullied, it learned me to observe what do people do. When I got my burnout after 10 years, I thought I knew so much, but I
Mhm.
got a burnout. So that means whatever we teach is amazing and we miss something. So
Right.
that brought me on the path actually of somatic coaching and somatic therapy. So the body. When I got my depression after my second divorce, when my ex ran away and we just emigrated, so I was all alone in Australia, no job, etc. No social network, no nothing. I thought, okay, I'm now 20 years in fast. I learned everything from my first 10 years. I learned everything from my other 10 years. I'm still depressed. I don't get myself out of that in one day. That means still missing something. So it pushed me to other things to learn. Therefore, I'm a Reiki master, NLP master, did constellations, did clinical hypnotherapy, psychotherapy. You name it, I did it almost to really come aware what is now in charge of us? What is now that little thing inside us that makes us feel or do what we do? And then, say 8 years ago, I hit in all my research and following courses that we have three brains, scientifically proven. And then I thought, I have the answer for what we always say, the subconscious mind. Hey, your subconscious mind that underneath the iceberg story. And that made me realize, aha, this is it. Now, that's my professional thing. How does it give my view on mankind? I would say it made me, you could say, softer and more empathic.
Mhm.
And why do I say that? When I was young, I could I could say to people, if you don't do it, you don't have enough willpower, you just have to push a little bit harder, etc. Because when I was young, I did the Olympic triathlons. Now, if you do that, you have to have somewhere or a crazy mind or a lot of discipline,
Yeah.
or maybe both. So, and I have a lot of energy and a lot of drive. So I pictured myself and other people and say, if they don't do the same, they are the losers, not willpower, not disciplined. I was judgmental. Let's be honest. In my last 30 years journey, I came aware everything we do for every person is coming from a positive intention for them.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes to mess up themselves. Nobody
No.
doesn't like to be successful. Nobody likes to be in pain.
Hmm.
Why do we do it? Because old patterns are running the show. So in all my learnings, I became much, especially when I started to work in Australia as a therapist and work with people who are sexually abused, physically abused, emotionally abused. And then you see women coming in and massively overweight. And then you hear their story that they were sexually abused when they were 12. And actually, they say, and I started gaining weight when I was 12 and a half, 13. And I think, oh yeah, does it make sense, isn't it? Why does it make sense, Chris? I said, what happened after you gained 20, 30 kilos when you were 14, 15 years old? Oh, the sexual abuse stopped. Ah, do you see the link? And I
Ah.
say, do you so you think I eat so much to protect myself? So yes.
Oh, wow.
And and at least half of the clients I saw in Australia who had weight loss issues, the females, had a sexual abuse history or a physical abuse history. And they used, say, their weight as a protection mechanism.
Protection, yes. Hmm.
A protection. Now, I don't know how it's with you, but I could never be any judgmental on any size anymore.
Mm.
Because you don't know their story.
Exactly.
So, so for me, I would say I became much more in the last 3 years, much more empathic and understanding. It's sometimes, of course, I find the pity and I get annoyed when people don't get there. But it's my ambition that I love that people are healthy, happy, and pursue their dreams.
Yeah.
But I also understand that something from a positive intention is stopping them. And that positive intention was positive when they learned it some time ago.
Hmm.
But what was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago positive intention is now hindering them and stopping them and really having a life they love to live.
That's right.
And, and that insight, yeah, but it's say, made me, as my girlfriend says, it made me human. And I would say, no, it's actually true. It makes me totally empathic for every person I see in that
Empathetic.
part and ask a
Right.
question.
Right. Exactly. You're more empathetic. You became more like compassionate.
And also compassionate in that part.
Compassionate. Yes. Hmm.
And
Exactly.
what I mean is empathic. That is, I don't say, okay, I feel sorry for you, but if I would stand in your shoes, I would feel the same. So I really learned to step in somebody else's shoes, to feel it, sense it from their perspective. And then almost always the judgment falls off.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Well,
So
I mean,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean with empathic, to really step into, to be able to step in their shoes.
absolutely, 100%. And we have to step into into the client's shoes in order
Yeah,
to realize as to what they're going
yeah.
through. So, Christopher, if human behavior was a language, how would you describe the grammar and vocabulary from your perspective?
If I would say it is almost like you live in Switzerland or in Belgium.
Okay.
And what I mean with that, in
Right.
Belgium and
Yeah.
Switzerland, they have three different languages. In
Okay.
Belgium, they speak Dutch, French, German. In France, or in Swiss, they speak Italian, German, French, and now actually also Swiss. Swiss, and that's a combination of all of them.
Mixed. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why I would say that? Because human behavior is actually different languages. Because
Oh.
we have a language from the head, that is words,
Hmm.
language from the heart, that is in more emotional sensations,
Yes.
and we have, say, a language from the gut that is instinctual sensations.
Mm.
And
Love that.
and, and the funny part is we all understand it, like everybody in Switzerland or in Belgium understands it because we get educated in all of them. But when we get older, we start tending to listen to more to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget the other ones. And when I'm meeting some friends in Zurich or in Geneva, that is now say that's Swiss, then they still know the French a little bit, they still know the German, they still know some people still know a little bit Italian, but they tend to also, whether region-wise, do one language more. And the ones become, say, a little bit less strong, unless they move again to that part of Switzerland, they start getting it better again. And that would be for me the human behavior,
Mm.
language. It is a mix. And I could also say it's like papiamento. That is a language you speak in the Caribbean. That's a mix of all kind of languages, for Spanish, Dutch, English, and it is a mix of all of it. I could also say it like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's also true. The only thing is in that metaphor, we would understand all our different kind of languages. And in my opinion, what I see up to now, we don't so much. So
Right.
those are the two
That's
things I have. And I lean to both.
Yeah, you need to, right, exactly. I mean, it's just very fascinating how, human behavior as a whole really impacts, you know, really impacts us today. And no matter what we do, we're just greatly impacted by it. How do you envision, Christofel, seeing the future of human behavior studies evolving, as a visiting professor? How do you envision
Nou,
any
nou, nou,
changes?
kijk, nou, how I envision and what I hope.
Okay,
Let's do, let's
what
do
do you
two
take
things.
both?
Now,
Yeah,
say, now what I hope, let's start with the hope. I hope, say, and that's not because I'm the founder of Three-Based Intelligence, but I really wish for mankind that we all really become aware that we have physically three brains, because it would mean we start learning, say, papiamento, that we would integrate all the languages. Instead of having three different languages we don't speak anymore. Because in that moment, we would make choices that are good for us, but also good for the people who are involved in it. And it
yeah,
would be in logical sense. So pure evil would become less evil because your heart would give conscience to it and said, no, 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 we don't do that. And only when you turn off the heart, you can do pure evil. Because if you don't have a heart, you can do pure evil because you don't feel for it. Hence why I say in wars our people are dehumanized because it's allowed to kill an animal, but not allowed to kill a human. So if you dehumanize people, and you call them pigs or devils or Untermenschen like 80 years ago, then it's allowed to kill them. But if you have a heart, then the heart says, no, 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 no. They're not an animal. They're not an Untermensch. They're just like people. So then that part in mankind become less. If you then bring it to the business world, it would mean that toxic leadership would not have place anymore.
right,
It's
yes.
not only about me as a leader in my career, but you would also take care of the whole community. And still having a career, you can still have a career and being number one in the company without hurting anybody else.
So
You can do it
true.
in
Yes.
so that's what I hope. What I envision is that it will go back and forth in different things. And that is because there's an extremely strong force, or extremely strong forces in the world. And it's called money and it's called religion.
True. Yes.
And somewhere we learn from young age that money brings happiness and freedom and everything else. So we pursue it, gut brain. And religion, in most religions, there's a power structure in. And if you put a power structure in things, it means not everybody's equal. And if not
True.
everybody's equal,
Yeah.
we do not bring the best out of everybody. So
That is so
those, so those two things are somewhere then also reality. Having said that, and I'm a born optimist in that part, I would say the moment we put a third layer on it and we put three brains on there, then even if you have money, even if you have religion, even if you have other kind of things, you cannot deny it anymore. It doesn't mean that everybody will do it, but the majority knows. So hope and reality, and the reality probably takes a little bit longer. My hope is that we all start, as John Lennon once said, just imagine, the song from 40 years ago. That's what I hope, but yeah, that is probably not realistic. The other thing is more realistic, but then we have something like a foundation where maybe the money, the religion, the power is based on.
Right. That is so
And
true.
that
Yes. Exactly. What are there any misconceptions that perhaps you find in your students or your peers when you address human behavior, the impact that it's
uh,
making? What would you say are
the,
the misconceptions?
the biggest misconception is in moving with chairs actually that people say, this is who I am.
Uh-huh.
And so, so there we talk a lot about authentic leadership,
Mhm.
and a lot of people think authentic leadership is how I am now.
What is
But
authentic leadership?
now, authentic leadership in a lot of times is going back to the core.
Okay.
But for people, it's really be authentic, be who you are.
Mhm.
Don't play any games. But the pity is, say, if you're, say, 30, 40, 50, 60 years young, then who you are is most times what we think we are now.
Mm.
If you
Oh, wow.
actually go back to authentic leadership is how was it actually before all those imprints of beliefs, traumas, etc. came to me. That is actually your authentic me. Now, all the other things we learned. So if you see what's a lot of misconceptions when you work with people, people have something like, this is who I am. They say, no, this is what you do. It's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you make a huge black and white split, it, your extremely core values almost define who you are. Eh?
Right.
Respect, integrity, honesty, those kind of things. They most times come from the heart, how we deal with people. Everything else are beliefs and behaviors we learned based on that value. And those are actually almost learned lessons. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're born, say, with values of how we should act in the world. They're almost hardwired in us. You could say they're instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
All the other things are learned. So the misconception, and where I also work on with people, is your three brains have three biological evolutionary needs. This is actually who we are. And they're almost for everybody the same. Now, based on your gene set, your parents, you have a little bit difference in them. What is more dominant, less dominant? But then how you get trained is who you become. Arnold Schwarzenegger was not born as a bodybuilder.
No,
When
he
he was
tried.
five,
Right.
when he was 5 years young, he was just a normal kid with the same kind of muscle structure and bone structure as we have. When he started to go to the gym and start training in the gym 4 to 6 hours to 8 hours a day, after a couple of years, yes, he became as he is. So if you would ask Arnold Schwarzenegger, who are you? And especially if you would ask him now, because he was a bodybuilder, he was an actor, and
Mm-hmm.
still is, and he was a politician. Who is he? So actually he has three roles in his life, but
Right.
his real me is also still embedded is that real child when he was 5 years old and still saw the world as he saw. And based on his own gene set, he made the decision, I'm going to follow this path. Because if you look at his brother is not shaped like him or a politician or something else. Has a totally different kind of life path. But they both came from the same mama and daddy. So the gene pool was the same.
Right.
Only what they made from it became much, much different. So when I see human behavior and what I see in leaders, my students who are also leaders or salespeople, they're all, I said also, look at you when you were 5 and what were your dreams?
Mm.
What on that moment did you find really, really important? What were your values? Not your beliefs, your values.
Values.
If you would now look at it, how did they emerge in you?
Right.
And what maybe turned it a little bit away based on highly impactful experiences, traumas, or maybe really some strong beliefs that you learned from situations, parents, or maybe from those traumas. And how did that shape and change your life? And if we start dissecting that, people always come back to oh, actually, we're not so much different. If I have a group of 30 people, they're often like, no, actually, we're not so much different because when we were 5, we're almost all the same. And when we were 1 year young, we all had
Mhm.
the same needs. Because when we are 1 year young, we almost have the same needs. Food, clean diaper, a mommy and a daddy who takes care of us, sleep, etc. And those are our basic values. And be connected, feel safe, get your toy, get your food, get your securities, get your things.
Yeah.
And everything else is learned. Now, and if you go from that basis, then people start willing. So if that everything I do is learned, or almost everything is learned, Alka,
Mhm.
it means change.
Right.
I just have to learn something new. And then we come back to the core. And I say it now, say in 5 minutes. For some people to really get that in all their 3 systems takes some more time. But if you go back to that concept, then you can reframe that misconception. I am who I am now. Because if I would ask you, Alka, who are you? What would you say?
Alka.
Alka, yes. And what is Alka? And then most times when you say, what is it? You will describe what you are doing now.
Mm. Mhm.
And
Right.
maybe where you were born, maybe if you had who your family is, and that's somewhere it. But not say, this is what I really found important in my family. I'm Dutch and I live in Spain. In the Netherlands, most elderly people go to an aged care center. What do you do with parents in Spain? You take them in your house.
Yes. Mhm. True.
And there is no right or wrong,
Right.
but this is a learned behavior.
Learned behavior. Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
I'm say I am Dutch, so I am Dutch, yes, my nationality, I will say my nationality is Dutch. And I'm educated in Dutch beliefs, Dutch religion, the Dutch ways to live with it. Is that who I am? Probably not, because if I was born in a Spanish family, I would now find it totally different.
Mhm.
Or if my parents had lived in Spain from day one that I was born. I was culturally raised in Spanish culture. Yeah, so the authentic me is change, is different. So now you come back, the biggest misconception is, who are you?
100%. And I just want to just briefly touch upon, like you talked about, the change. You talk about Arnold, and I hear people quite often say, "You're born a leader," or "You're born a model," or an actor. I don't believe no one's born. You're trained. You're molded into as
Yeah,
a model or an actor or a politician, as Arnold. So I hear that more often that, you know, Donald Trump, yes, he was destined to become a politician, but he was trained. I don't believe that, a Barack Obama too. So you're not born into becoming a leader, but you have to, you got molded into
yeah.
that
Then
individual.
it is, you're so right. There are two things I like to say for it. One, in positive psychology from Martin Seligman, who studied, say, what keeps us. The, in his research, he says 50% of what we are now is our gene set, so that
Mhm.
we can blame our parents or we can thank our parents. The other 50% is what kind of environment did we grow up and how did we decide in that environment. And then one of the most beautiful examples of that is they had in research 5 petri dishes, so 5 little glass things, and they put in there bacteria that are lactose intolerant. So they
Mhm.
could not digest lactose. In that research, they put in every petri dish lactose. So actually, they played the Hunger Games. After a couple of weeks, they became aware that 2 of the petri dishes were still alive, the bacteria, and actually flourishing. They were doing a great job. In 3 of them were dead. So the first time they saw this, they thought, oh, bucker. We probably did not have really clean petri dishes. Maybe there was something wrong. We throw everything away. We do it again. We make everything extremely sterilized. We make extremely care that the lactose is the lactose. No mistakes. A couple of weeks later, same result. What they came aware of, that in the bacteria that were still alive, and that is what we call epigenetics, the gene that cannot digest lactose had swapped in I can digest lactose.
Oh, okay.
Why is it so important on what you said? So we are born with a gene set from mama and papa. But how we make decisions, what is our environment, can change who we are. So
Mm-hmm.
you say we are born something, and I did the same study with identical twins. Identical twins, that is, you have one cell after conception, and that cell splits in two and become two persons. So they have identical DNA. Their DNA is 100% the same.
Mm-hmm.
Those identical twins were split by birth based on trauma, parents who die, wars, and all kind of horrible things. And they followed them. And when they came aware that, say, the fingerprint had a 97% of sameness, but height and weight something like 70 to 80%, that was really different. But their mental state was almost like flipping a coin. Some were depressed, 50%, depression, 30% correlation. Alcoholism, 30 to 50% correlation. So the mental states had less than 50% of correlation. Identical twins, same DNA.
Wow.
So their life was totally different, and they became different kind of personalities based on their environment and the decisions they made. Now, to come back to your answer, so yes, you have a maybe genetic advantage in some sports or something else.
Yes.
The parents from Brad Pitt are still good looking. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have 2 kids or 3 kids, I don't know exactly, and they all look amazing because the gene set of 2 beautiful people somewhere had a little bigger chance to create a beautiful person according to the standards we have for beautiful. But it doesn't mean that later in life they stay the same. If they become alcoholic, they become drunk, they can become drug addict, all their beauty is gone.
Change, yeah, true.
If they only start eating at one of the food store chains that fast food chains, they will also change their whole body set and they become, say, obese. And then they're not beautiful anymore in our standards what beautiful is. So we can train it. And what you say is so true. You have somewhere a talent,
Mm-hmm.
but talent has to be trained. So yes, based on that, the dad of Donald Trump was already successful and an ongoer. He had already a gene set to go to the max, to push for the success. So he had in a gene set, okay, I like to be a winner. But then based on his education he had, based on what things happened in life, based on the decisions he made, he became what he became.
Right. Yeah.
Because not all of his brothers, if you look at the family of Donald Trump, not all his brothers became so successful. And one of his brothers actually died as an alcoholism, from alcoholism when he was in his 50s or 60s.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in that part, it's not the same.
Mm.
And we see that in so many families. If you have one sporter who's amazing, it doesn't mean the brother of him is or the sister of him is also amazing. It
Yeah.
can happen. It's not always happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is no genes. It is how they are then actually motivated from school or which teacher they have or their friends they have. And it changes. So the sentence they have, look at the 5 best friends you have, you spend the most time with, and you know actually what you become. And if you then think
Exactly.
about the petri dishes, it makes sense because you are the petri dish in the same environment as your friends. So one moment there's a chance, poof, your genes swap. They become like them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. You become it's your environment and also talent is not enough. You have 2 siblings, the same, the twins are not twins, but one sibling has the talent, the other one doesn't. So it's not about the talent. It's not just the talent, but you can have the skill set. And some people don't have the skill. I mean, I can't be a basketball player. I don't have the height. So
No,
you've got to be realistic, like you said,
no.
100%. So, Christopher, what advice would you suggest individuals who want to pursue a career in human behavioral science? What advice would you give out there?
Uh, it depends what you like to do. If you like to go really in the depth of science,
Uh-huh.
then you need, say, a lot of determination and you need something like a good brain because you need a lot of knowledge. If you like to, say, become working with people like that in
Right.
human science, it means you have a broad perspective and huge and broad insight. Because there is no one solution that will help somebody to become a good leader, to become a good coach, to become a good consultant. Because if you look at psychology, there are 10 major different ways how psychologists are trained, from Hungarian to Freudian to Rogerian to CBT. And none of them outperforms all the others. Extensionism, they all have their own quality. Now, so if you like to become really great in what you do, you need to have a broad perspective and start learning, say, the holistic way, what helps us. Because if you talk about, say, achieving something, it's not only, say, your mindset and your three brains aligned, there's also what do you put in your mouth? What do you eat? And so how do you take care of your own health?
Yeah.
Where do you live? And do you live in a healthy city, not healthy city? Do you have, say, the opportunities to go there? There's research done for the people who are now extremely rich or successful in, say, IT, the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, the person of Oracle who's now in the top 5 of richest persons. They all were born in the same kind of area. And when they were in between their 16 and 25, the IT boosted. So it's also the environment where you live. And they lived in an environment where it was nurtured. You could have had the same skills and the same smartness as a Bill Gates, as a Steve Jobs, living in the middle of Nigeria, and never got that opportunity. So it's also, so if you look from what do you like to do, it is look at a holistic way. Am I at the right spot? Actually, do I have that broad view what's needed on this moment? Do I actually have my three brains aligned what is happening? And am I willing to pay the price for it? And if people really like to be successful, in my opinion, you need this sequence. Your heart takes care of the passion. And that is number one. If you're passionate about something, you will run the extra mile. Your heart will give your gut the signals, give me all the energy to pursue my dreams, my passion. And then the heart and gut say to the head, could you just give us all the wisdom what we should do to make this happen, by the way? Otherwise we fall down 20 times before we start learning to walk. If you follow that sequence, you almost always have success. Because passion will give you that extra energy to go there. And if people say, how does it work? I will say, can you remember when you fell in love with your first girlfriend, your first boyfriend? How much energy did you have?
Yeah, true. Absolutely true.
And that's the heart that says, oh, I'm so passionate about this person. It says to the gut, give me energy, give me more cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline to stay awake. And the gut says, okay, I will do that. You're there. And the head says, okay, what should I say? Shouldn't I say? What kind of likes should I have? Not likes to make it happen. Oh, he or she loves the movies. Okay, I'm going to read about movies. Oh, he or she likes learning about, I don't know, animals. Okay, I'm going to going to Wikipedia to learn everything about animals. So that sequence helps. Passion makes you win.
Passion. Exactly. Passion. You're going to be passionate. How do you, what is the future looking like, especially when it comes to, the technology, AI? So, there's so much advancement that's happening right now with AI. How do you envision seeing the field of human behavior, and how do you think that's going to change in the next 10, 20 years? Given the fact that AI is here and it's going to be, it's
let's bring it
disruptive.
back to let's bring it back to 5 years, because 20 years I think nobody can envision
Okay,
how
5 years. Yes.
AI.
Okay, 5 years.
Uh,
Yes.
two things. AI is an amazing Wikipedia. And so database wise, so knowledge wise, it's hard to outperform the AI. So put all the data and all the research in, and you get the best analysis.
Yeah.
What I still envision is that humans make the difference. Because I was talking to somebody who's extremely experienced, in AI, and really, and future said, AI can do everything. It can start measuring the temperature of people and envisioning this and tracking eye movements, etc., etc. So it becomes a human. I said, never, because a human, if we would put our hands to each other, we could feel the energy of each other. Our heart can be measured 9 meters outside our body, the electromagnetic energy of the heart. Our heart can make us synchronize. So every nun who lives in a monastery has a synchronized period because the heart communicates, the body communicates with each other. So we as humans have sensory systems AI can never outperform. So in the real human part, people will outperform. Having said that, in saying a lot of basic skills and knowledge skills, AI will be our backbone. And like 50 years ago, people started to work with their first pocket calculators.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we cannot calculate anymore by head. Yeah, we still can do it. But if it's difficult, we take a pocket calculator or actually your iPhone or your phone. So it becomes a tool. Will say the super intelligence computer outrun us? Yes, it could become our, say, major in us, but human touch will never be changed. Yeah? The baby that starts being on mama's chest can never be replaced by AI.
Right. It's not the
That
same.
sensation. The human connection it can help us and can make us feel less alone, but still oxytocin will be different released. Oxytocin, that's the bonding hormone that makes us happy and all those kind of things. So it will do a lot of things, but the human touch will not be there. So in behavioral world, I can imagine that many companies will use that as their backbone of knowledge backbone. Yeah? 40 years ago, we all had the encyclopedia in our house. It was all on paper. Now, nobody has it anymore except your grandparents. We have now somewhere Wikipedia or Grokpedia or just AI that gives us an answer. So it will stay a tool. The real human touch will not be changed. Yes, will there be robots who will do a lot of work for us and maybe work in aged care centers to give money and listen to people? Probably yes. Will it replace humans? No.
Right.
So in human behavior, it stays with us.
True.
But
Absolutely.
yes, we will rely much more on those kind of things. But it will be different. Like, there's only one thing that say that in that part worries me, and that's our critical thinking.
That's so true. It's been taken away.
Yeah,
I think
like
that
if you think Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner, wrote a book, Thinking Fast and Slow. That's actually also our three brains. Our, our three brains take 40% of your energy. So that means there's 60% left for all the things that keeps us alive.
Right.
That tends that if we see something like this, we right away say, oh, that's an iPhone. Because it looks like an iPhone, has three different things here, so it's an iPhone. It could be a dummy, but you only see this part, so we assume it's an iPhone. It is what Daniel Kahneman calls system one thinking. It does not take any energy. It doesn't take any energy to give an answer. So your three brains are extremely happy. Law of association. It looks like a duck. It talks like a duck. It shits like a duck. Oh, probably it is a duck. In that part, AI can be dangerous for us. If we stop being the devil's advocate and say, is this true? And we have to step in system two to come aware, let's do the check if it's right.
Right.
And in that part lies, say, in my opinion, the danger that if you start trusting something without being critical. And that's in all parts of life. I have to say, but in AI, especially if you like to become, say, successful in life, you also have to have the critical thinking there. My system one says, let's go there. That's why we say, and listen to one or two brains, because it doesn't take energy. Let's put all the energy in there to reflect on actually, did we make the right decision? The critical thinking. But critical thinking takes energy, and we have to put focus and passion on it. So we can release dopamine, APP, adrenaline, so we can get the focused learning state. Now, that part is a little bit dangerous, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, Christopher, this has been such a powerful, insightful conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I absolutely agree. I think when it comes to human connection, there is nothing like human connection.
No.
You know, robots cannot replace that, but it's a tool, you know, to have robots, you know, that they're very helpful and as to what's happening now. So I absolutely agree, human connection, we need that. So Christopher, where can people connect with you and learn more about you?
And now one they can try to Google my name, Christoffel Sneijder. Then probably you will find me, but based on the fact it is written like an Sneijdders, it will be harder. The easiest way is to type in three brains intelligence.
There's intelligence.
And
Okay.
that's again three brains, head, heart, gut intelligence. If you Google that, you find me, you find my websites, you find free downloads, free information, free stuff. So you can learn free. And of course, you can learn also paid. The cheapest way is always say, buy one of my books is 10 euros. It's two coffees in say, if you go to Paris. I was in Paris last month and the coffee was 5 euros. And it's like, wow, two coffees is the same as my book. Anyhow, that's the cheapest way to learn about this kind of things. And for me, I would encourage everybody, learn it because it makes your own life more healthy, more happy, more successful.
Mhm.
And who doesn't like to have all three of those?
Absolutely. Who doesn't? And what's the title of your book?
The title of my current book is Relationships, Which Brain is Talking. So it bends down on all the relationships we have in life, and it can be a partner relationship, family relationship, or colleague relationships, because we all have relationships. My new book that is coming out in a couple of months is Three Brains Intelligence. Um, let your biology do the hard work for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I look forward. Okay, so we'll put all of this in the show notes. And well, thank you so much, Christopher. And, really appreciate the insightful, innovative, the frontier of science as to what's happening in human behavioral world and, what's happening in the real world and how the impact you are making. And we want to thank you, the audience, for tuning in today's episode. So I make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. In this way,
Yes.
we're going to bring amazing guests like Christofal Schneider. And so stay tuned for the next episode of Asking Experts, and we will see you all the same time. Thank you. Bye for now. Thank you so much, Christopher. Appreciate your time.